Hey everybody, what's going on? We are out at the Twin Pines Ranch, home of Charlie Daniels. That's the guy sitting right here. Charlie Daniels. I'm Stormy Warren, and we are back together again.
And I'm working and he's loafing.
That's kind of what he's used to me doing. Nothing.
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful.
It's really good to see you.
You too, and thanks for doing this and letting us do this together. And thanks to everybody online who watching premiercollectibles.com/Charlie. And we're going to spend some time with you, and we're going to encourage you. We're going to inspire you, and we're going to thank you for buying the brand new book. Let's all make the day count.
Start over again.
Let's all make the day count.
That's better. That's much better. You fumbled on the first part of it.
Wow, this is going to be a long hour.
Would you do that on your TV show?
I do every day. Have you ever listened?
No, you don't. You're very careful. You save all your sibilances and stuff till you start doing something with me, and then you just let them all at one time. You just let them all out.
I thought this was supposed to be an encouraging book.
That's not sound.
This is a book of devotionals. Real quick, wisdom. Just you will flip it open. This is what I was doing. I was just flipping it open and going, okay, the whole truth. That one sounds like something I need today. Yeah. And then these all come from your life. These are your lessons.
Yeah. You know, I've been, and I don't know you know this, but I've been doing a feature on our social media for years called "Let's All Make the Day Count."
Yeah.
And I'll do the whole thing. They're separate tweets, but I'll do a Bible verse and a saying that I feel like God sends me. Most of them, some of them are old sayings. But I feel like something he gives me, and I put it down, and I write a little piece and just say, let's all make the day count, you know. And they wanted a publishing company talked to me about doing a gift book, which I didn't even really know what a gift book was at the time until we got talking about it, and I thought that this fit really well into it.
It's amazing because if you've read Charlie's books in the past, there have been beautiful stories, and it's the autobiography, which is absolutely amazing. Never Look at the Empty Seats is an amazing story of his life. But then to carve up the lessons that he's learned and wants to share and has been sharing for decades, this book is pretty amazing. This one will sit on the coffee table, and if you're feeling a little low or you need a little pick-me-up, you just flip it open, and there's Bucking the Odds. The pages of history are loaded with those who are bold enough to go against the odds. And
yes, that's true.
And they teach the lessons. You got about marriage. You've got it about luck. Yeah. One of my favorite ones in here is about conceit and self-confidence.
Right. Yeah. And there's a fine line between the two.
But a huge difference.
A huge difference, but a fine line. I think you start in the same direction when you start that, you know. But it's like conceit is, maybe pride without underpinning, and confidence is underpinning without pride.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. I had a weird twist on it, but it's like there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. An arrogant person believes he's right, and a confident person knows he's right.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's very true. You're very
it's contagious.
Philosophical today.
It's contagious.
Don't put your sibilant stuff on me, man.
How have you been putting this book together? Did you just scribble these things down, or were these all that you had written down over your life?
I started it. It was a totally different project. I did now a few of the little sayings that I did, I used out of the book a little bit. And, of course, I went through and tried to find Bible scriptures that would fit.
To match them.
Yeah, to match what I was talking about.
Hand me the books once I sent them.
This is called Hasty Words, but no man can tame the tongue. This is the Bible scripture I use for hasty words. No man can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. It's John 3:18. And I ended up, my little saying is, hateful words are often completely forgotten, but seldom ever completely forgiven.
Ooh.
So, you know, it's like, there's a little story in here about been times in my life when I have flown off the handle, and we all have, and hasty words, and you say something and you go around all day regretting it. And the only way you get this, it's very easy to get over that. You just go say, look, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I did that.
I just had to do that this morning.
Oh, yeah. Forgiveness is the greatest cleanser.
Sure, it feels good.
Forgiving somebody and having them forgive you. But it's vignettes like that, certain things that I've been through. I got a piece in there about my barn burning down, about losing my horses and all this stuff, and new beginnings. I got the crux of that story is there was a bloodline we'd been working with for about 20 years. And we lost our stud horse. We lost our stallion, standing stallion, I guess it's third generation standing stallion that we had. And we thought our bloodline was gone forever. Yeah. And a couple of months after the barn burnt down, this guy came up and said, this is a colt. This is the direct owned son of your stud horse. And he said, I want you to have him. And his confirmation, everything was just great. Wow. And I said, only name for him is New Beginnings. So that's what we called him. That's his registered name. It's TP, Twin Pines New Beginnings.
Well, one of my favorite quotes from you is about New Beginnings, and that's the winds of change may blow the tree away, but the roots remain.
Roots remain, absolutely.
Now, that's an amazing gift. This is wisdom that I've heard from you for as long as I've known you, and that's going on.
That's been 115
years ago. But so I think I've heard many of these pieces of advice dribbled out over the years, but it is so cool to have them in one collection too.
Well, it's kind of a philosophical thing with me, and it goes through all my songs. Or not all my songs, but a lot of my songs that I write about, that just kind of simple sort of stuff, simple sort of thing. I'm a simple man.
I've heard that,
but a simple man. They call me a redneck. I reckon that I am.
There's things going on that make me mad.
I'm glad.
To the core.
That's good.
We'll just sing all of your songs for the next hour. People will love that. People are online and they've got a lot of questions for you, and we're going to get to that. But first of all, if you're just joining us, the book is called, and I'm going to get it right this time, Let's All Make the Day Count.
By
Charles Daniels.
Right.
Charlie Daniels. By the way, why am I sitting here? I have no idea. He's been my hero since I could put a record on a turntable. And the fact that I get to sit here and chat with him about yet another major milestone and accomplishment in his career just is one of my biggest honors.
He's sitting here because there is nobody better to do this. He is the man that we choose to help us do the advent of this book right here. That's exactly why you're here.
Are we done saying nice things then?
We're not. I will continue to say nice things about you. How old were you when I met you in California?
19 years old.
And you were working at CNN. In what capacity? I never did really know that.
I was, at the time, I was a cameraman, but my goal was to become a segment producer for their show, Showbiz Today.
But weren't you on camera to some
Well, no. By the time I was just about ready to move to Nashville, thanks to you, I had done some on-camera stuff for Showbiz Today. So I'd worked my way up from being a technical director and cameraman and stuff.
Two of the people two of my greatest joys is people coming to Nashville, because I knew what it meant to me to come here. That wanted to come here just as badly and for the same reasons that I wanted to come here was you and Bill Cody.
Oh, yeah.
And you both made it, and you both fit so well, and you both made your mark on this town.
Well, because you kind of saw what we wanted and helped guide.
I really didn't have nothing to do with you actually coming here, but I except sit back and applaud it because, you're both. I went to, I know how you felt about coming. It was like Nashville.
The same way you did.
Same way I was, yeah. I wanted to live in this town worse than I always wanted to live here.
Sure.
And, of course, it started happening in 1967. My friend Bob Johnston took over, actually Columbia Records at the time was what it was. Of course, it's Sony now. And he moved me to town in 1967. And I wouldn't even drink. I wouldn't move 1 square foot from where I live right now, just over the hill over there.
Yeah, just down the road.
Yeah. And we're sitting here in the middle of the CDB business hub.
This is the recording studio where all the magic happens.
We're out here in the middle of nowhere, doing things, our office and our studio and all. But one of the great things about having a studio is I used to have to drive into Nashville, and 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
After I'd finish something, I'd have to drive back home, and kind of take the fun out of it. Now I can darn near walk home if I had to, I wouldn't want to do it that time.
Not anymore.
Because the hills are too tall. But,
But gosh, I mean, you came here with a dream, just like we all did, like you said, Bill Cody and myself did. And he actually, a conversation that I will share is we stood in the CNN building in 1990, I guess, 91. And you said, well, why don't you come to Nashville? And I'm like, well, I've never been to Nashville, but it's like Oz to me. It's this beautiful city. And he goes, oh, trust me, it's a beautiful city. And, we could use you here. And I'm like, okay, well, I was thinking about doing some stuff here. And he goes, look out this window. This is Los Angeles.
That's right.
I've been coming here for decades. I've watched this town chew people up and spit them out.
Absolutely.
And they said, Los Angeles doesn't need you. Nashville needs you. And it changed my life. Changed my life. Your music has, and that's why when I gave a speech to you one time, I always said, all my life, there's always been Charlie Daniels.
Well, you're one among the many in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
You're one of a kind in Nashville.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much. And this is the kind of wisdom that he's bestowed. One of the things I follow that up with all the time is like, yes, his words got me to Nashville and allowed me to pursue my dream career, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that if I said I was the only one he's done this for. Like you said, Bill Cody, you love to pass on inspiration.
I had nothing in mechanics. So either one of you guys moved to town, but the thing is encouraging because, you know what I saw in both you and Bill, it was people that love that they want to come and fit in and be a part of it and make it grow and be a part of it. They want to be a part of it. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to be. I've been aware of Nashville music and the Grand Ole Opry. The first radio show I ever listened to live, I mean, that I consciously remember listening to when I was in single digits, was Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
And it was a mystique. I mean, it was like a place I never thought I'd go.
Sure.
I mean, here's a kid 600 miles away in rural North Carolina, about 600 miles of two-lane blacktop between here and there, and that was like going to the moon in those days.
Yeah.
I didn't even know anybody I ever found who'd ever been to the Grand Ole Opry. I just went in, well, what's it like? What's it look like? Who was on the night you were there?
What does it smell like?
What is it? Anything you can tell me about the opera, I want to know it. And finally, in 1954, a bunch of kids and myself, high school kids, guys I went to school with, we got together and we pooled our money to buy gas with and so on, and we come out to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. And it was like,
Is it everything? It's everything you wanted it to be.
It's everything and more.
Sure.
But there was such a mystique about the whole thing. It was like, when I was a kid, Nashville might as well have been Mars or something.
That's what I felt too.
Yeah, as far as me getting there was concerned. And to show you how good God is, I've been here for almost 51 years, and came to town with a clutch out of my car and a $20 bill in my pocket. And it's just, I can't.
And now he's a member of the Grand Ole Opry, and he's in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
I still can't get used to that. You know what? I mean, really, somebody says that, I'll go to the opera or something, they'll introduce it, remember the Country Music Hall. It took me forever to get used to somebody saying I'm a member of the Grand Ole Opry.
Sure.
But somebody, say I'm a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, but just, I mean, that still to this day is like, it's like I have to start thinking, they're talking about me. Wow.
So that kid who went to the Grand Ole Opry in 1954, did you look up at the people on stage and goes, wow, that would be really cool to be on that stage? Or was it even part of the dream at that time?
I could not, Stormy, I couldn't even imagine it. I couldn't dream that hard then. I could dream, sitting out there looking was a dream come true. Mm-hmm. Being up there was an impossible dream. I was a three-chord guitar player and a young fiddle player, and all these guys were my heroes. I mean, not just the stars that were singing, the people who were actually doing the vocals that were in the nudie suits standing up front, but I knew the pickers back there. I mean, Tommy Jackson and Jackie Phelps and all these guys that played behind them.
Yeah.
Chet Atkins at that time kind of played behind a lot of people.
Who was the one who introduced you on your first performance on the Grand Ole Opry?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Charlie Walker.
Oh, wow.
I think he was the first one.
That is so funny. You want to hear a funny story?
Uh-huh.
Charlie Walker's grandson is my son's best friend.
I'll be darned.
It's so weird.
Yeah, Charlie. I'm pretty sure it's Charlie Walker. The first time I think the first time we played there, which was a long, long time ago. But we had played it for years. A lot of people thought we were members of the Opry,
Right.
We played there constantly. But when Martina McBride walked on the stage at the Ryman Auditorium that night,
you just had that anniversary. It's
11 years ago. Yesterday,
that's what I thought. I read that on your Twitter.
Yeah, 11 years ago yesterday. My son keeps up with that. I can't keep up with it all. But it was 11 years ago she asked me to be on. It was the 8th of January. It will be 11 years, but I actually
that you were inducted.
But the night she walked on that stage and said that was one of the most emotional nights of my life. I couldn't. You know me for a lot of years. Have you ever seen me speechless?
I've never seen you flustered.
Where I couldn't say, where I didn't know what to say.
I've never seen him flustered.
I literally just. I mean, it was like climbing the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Like I was standing on top of Kilimanjaro, man.
I screamed when I heard it. When I saw the clip of you being invited.
It just totally blew me away.
And they don't tell people that you get. They keep this one of the best kept secrets.
No, they don't. And I got to do that with Montgomery Gentry too,
right.
out at the Opera House.
Oh, the late Troy Gentry. We miss him.
Great guy. I miss him too.
Gosh, we're doing a benefit for him on the 9th at the Grand Ole Opry House, and I think we're going to try to recruit you to come play that thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, we might, if the 9th of January?
Yeah, the 9th of, I know you're usually in your downtown,
I won't be in town.
Yep.
If it's January, I won't be in town.
Okay, well, the rest of y'all could come join us.
Yeah, by all means do. And if I was in town, I would be too, but I'm going to be out of town.
It's going to be fun. We are celebrating Let's All Make the Day Count. It's not a long read. In fact, it could be as short a read as you want. If you got 5 minutes during the day and you want a little pep talk, new beginnings. You mentioned that. You also mentioned about don't fear things because God's watching over you,
right.
And you used the story of your snowmobile trip in Colorado about how that could have ended a lot worse, but you weren't going to be scared to not go snowmobiling.
No, good gosh, no. You know what? We get, when you burn your fingers, you don't quit going around stoves. You just learn you don't put your fingers on them anymore, Really.
That's what probably in the book, too.
Well, I don't know if I wrote it like that, but especially what it comes down to. Don't fear anything. I mean, if you've had a bad experience or something, don't do it again.
Sure.
But don't.
Or do it better.
It's like, there's something in the Bible, a lazy guy says, there's a line outside, I can't go out. Well, there's always a line outside. Go get your gun, shoot him, and go on out.
It's great. Charlie
Hope
Daniels.
Pete ain't watching. Hey, y'all at Pete, I'm going to shoot a line in my yard if he comes up.
Oh, boy. Have you ever known Charlie Daniels not to speak his mind? It's one thing you can count on.
But you can rest assured there's not a line in my yard.
There's a bunch of turkeys. We did learn that. We're going to get to some questions, actually, if you don't mind.
I'd love to.
There's Gary in San Jose, California. What would you say has been the biggest lesson God has taught you?
The biggest lesson God has taught me is that I should turn, and I'm still learning. It's not a fait accompli yet. I mean, I'm still learning, but to turn everything over to Him, to not get so flustered and thinking about that I got to handle everything myself, because there's certain things. The Alcoholics Anonymous have the greatest prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I mean, that's a thing to live your life by, basically, if we can all learn. We do what we can. I think God expects us to do what we can, but we reach a time when we can't handle anything. You got to turn it loose.
Yeah.
And that's a hard lesson to learn, but I'm still trying to learn it.
I was about to say, that I don't know if anybody masters that, do they?
Well, I guess some people probably do. I think some people, somebody that's just totally and completely at peace and nothing flusters them.
Yeah.
And no matter what happens, they don't. I think there are people that come really, really close to it. I wish I could. I wish I could come to that. But we'll just keep working on it.
Billy Graham had it.
Billy Graham, what a man. What a man.
Jeez. He definitely had. I think Amy Grant has that gift, I think.
Amy Grant.
Yeah, I think she has that gift.
I think she's an angel without wings.
That's what I mean. It's like there's a peace and a calmness that comes with her when you're around her, which is just absolutely amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Gary, for that question. Yes. Shane, I just wanted to say hello. I'm Shane, and I'm totally blind from birth, and a musician and a huge fan.
Shane, I appreciate that, partner, and keep on picking. It's a wonderful life.
Hargus Pig Robbins, baby.
Hargus Robbins was that man. He was still playing a lot of sessions when I came down. When I came down in '67, he was the top call piano player in town. Of course, there was several.
And blind since birth.
Yes, he was blind since birth, and he was just the most. He always had something to play that meant something. He always had. He could come up with I think
lick.
Moody River was one of the ones that were bragging about him coming up at da 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 da. You remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, he come ahead. That was Pig, man. That was Pig doing his thing.
See, that's amazing. So Shane, if you're want to continue to be a musician, and do not let being blind stop you by any means.
That's right.
The number of success stories are out there. We could go to the list of.
Oh yeah, there's
Wonder
a lot of those.
What is your favorite Bible verse, Anna from Flag Pond, Tennessee?
I have a lot of, but the one I usually call my favorite is 91st Psalm, because I travel a lot. It's a kind of a psalm of protection. We live within the shadow of the Almighty, sheltered by the God who is above all gods. Just I declare that He is alone as my I could go through the whole thing.
Wow.
I won't do it, but I do, and I say it to myself a lot. When I was in Iraq, I've been to Iraq 3 times to to play for the troops. And when we were over there, we'd be flying around in planes or helicopters or something, and I would say that to myself. I had the greatest peace in Iraq when we were there. I was very apprehensive because there's places you go that lead up to that. You go, first time we went to Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan and then Afghanistan and then Kuwait and then Iraq. And I knew we were going to Iraq. I knew that was a hot spot. And I kept thinking about, well, what's it going to be like? Because everybody, everybody had been there. Been a lot of people had been there. Had been, had mortar shots, that sort of thing. And you think about it. When I got there, I was so much at peace. I mean, I did not worry about it. We got shot at one night in a helicopter. We had a RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade, and a bunch of small arms.
I thought you got a bullet through the bottom of one of your helicopters.
We did, but it hit the. I'm sure that's what it was. It hit the armor on the floor just under my feet. I heard the ping. Yeah, ping. And then this flare started going off, and these guys started jinking the helicopter over to the left. We were flying over Sadr City, which is the birthplace of Saddam Hussein. And we're about, I guess, 5-10 minutes out of base in Baghdad. And but I thought we were doing a maneuver. I never thought about being under attack at all until we got on the ground and found out.
So they told you.
Yeah, but it didn't, it really, even after that, it didn't bother me. I was very much at peace. But I had that's anybody, if you want to, if you're a believer and you believe in what the Bible says and you want a comfort zone to be in when you're not just traveling, but in any kind of danger, you feel like you're going into kind of danger. Learn the 91st Psalm. It's a great comfort.
It's neat. It also, a part of that calmness comes from your two favorite things in life, and that is God and the U.S. military.
Yeah,
of course you're going to feel safe.
I was surrounded by guys, by military guys, but they're the best, man. These guys. Military, we owe them an unpayable debt of gratitude.
I totally agree. Totally agree. As a Christian, what challenges, if any, do you find in the music business or on the road? That barber from Thousand Oaks, California.
I think you find, regardless of whether in the music business and on the road or whatever, I mean, sometimes people think there are a lot of, are magnified, and they can be. I mean, there's a lot of partying, a lot of drugs, a lot of all that kind of stuff that does go on in the peripheral of the music business. But the music business is a business to me.
Yeah,
I'm not out there for fun. I'm out there to do my thing, to play my music for people.
Always that way, or did it ever go off the rails?
Well, back when I was in my 20s, and when I was a young single guy, I used to party too much, no doubt about it. But I mean, I know I did. But I think everybody goes through that phase.
Sure.
But I never did. I never wanted it to become such a big part of my life that it interfered in my business.
Yeah.
And I am very, very serious. I'm 82 years old now. And I see no end. Obviously, one of these days, I'm going to have to quit for one reason or another, because if no other reason, I'll quit breathing,
Yeah.
It's going to happen to everybody. But I've made no plans to quit, and I've got another book working in works now. I don't know how in the world it happened. We ended up with 3 records and 1 book released all at one time here. We've got the companion piece to this book here. Let's all make the day count. We have got the volunteer jam with the multi-artist record out and the Bull Weevils record out.
If you haven't heard of the Bull Weevils, watch out. Charlie Hayward is longtime bass player. Billy Crane, Tommy Crane's little brother. Then you've got James Stroud on bass and
drums.
I'm sorry, on drums. Yeah. And a producer and friend for a long time. Yeah. And what they did is put together a collection of songs that's swampy, it's nasty, it's gritty, it's thumping, it's fun, and it's a jam. If you like good old Charlie Daniels music from the early days, and also just the influences that created the Charlie Daniels sound, you've got to pick up the Bull Weevils record.
James has an ability to do something that only a handful of drummers. That's
it. This is the Bull Weevils record, so look for that online. You can get that too. I know we're selling books, but we're selling music too.
That only a handful of drummers that I have ever seen could do, and for what I call playing on the shady side of the beat. He calls it second line. Like they talk about New Orleans, the second line. It means you're laying back on the front part. You never go to the front part of the beat. You're always on the back part of it, and you hold He sat right there during that whole record, and he plays with such an authority, And you just get into it. It's like riding a horse, man, and getting in rhythm. And once you get in rhythm with a horse, it's the most fun you ever had. But it's like playing with James. He's just got that little thing, and that's what the whole record, the concept of the record, is built around James' drum playing. He did it. Levon Helm was another.
Oh yeah, well that's a great description of what that style is like.
Yeah, playing on the backside of the beat. But very few people can do that. He's very talented to be able to do that. What else you got over? You got another question?
Oh yeah, we got lots more.
Yeah,
we got lots more questions.
Ask away.
Okay, Lisa from Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. What is the biggest change you've seen in country music during your career? One that might only be clearly noticed by members of the country music family. Ooh, going inside.
You know, I don't. Of course, the people in any music, any industry is constantly changing. Pardon me. The music has to change because if it don't change, it'd be like classical music. It stays the same. It stays the same. It stays the same,
evolve.
and it never evolves. So the music has to change, but it goes in cycles. And I think we're fixing to go into another cycle now. I think we're going into I won't even go into what I think it is because it don't make any difference. But I think we're fixing to go into another cycle. I think we go so far in one direction. It would go same thing in rock music. Same thing in pop music. But the thing that I have noticed, I don't know that I have particularly noticed anything that only the country music family would know, other than, it's become a much bigger business than what it was when I came here.
Yeah.
And it's become a much broader, more liberal sounding than when I first came here.
Is that good, or is it just fact?
Well, it's good, and it's good, and it's fact. It's like anything else. Some's good, some's not. The thing about it is, here's my thing.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe this is opinion. Maybe this is what you're after. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of kids. They're all kids to me. They may be 40 years old. They're still kids to me. That are recording or going to studio with a producer and a set of musicians, and the music's good, and the music's that, and the music's in, and it's exactly what they want. But I don't think that they have scratched the surface on a lot of these kids. I think there's talent that they're being told, you do it this way, because this is what we want. You dress that way, you sing this that way, you look this way, you put this hat on, you take that hat off. You say this, you say that, put your cap on backwards, do whatever you want to do, whatever they want you to do. Go ask the kid, what do you want to do?
Sure.
I mean, give him a shot. He's probably going to tell you, or she's probably going to tell you, I got a song I wrote I want you to hear.
Yeah.
Listen to this song I wrote. I know that you got all these hit writers writing this stuff for me, but let me do one of my songs for you.
Yeah.
And that may not be the case and everything, but there's kids out there that have got stuff, they got a side to them that we'll never hear. I mean, that we haven't heard, and the sad part of it is we may never hear it. They may not get a chance to do it. I did.
Sure.
I got the chance to do it. I was turned loose to do what, go cut me some albums.
You're actually your own worst enemy in the early days. You thought you had to be like everybody else.
Well, I did.
Until a certain point.
It took me, I did 5 albums before I ever found my voice. I tried to sing like everybody else. That's what I'd done for 13 years.
Right.
I'd played in clubs, and the more you sound like whoever's records you're playing, the better off you are.
Sure.
But when you start doing it, as you need to be original. So my point is that whoever asked that question, who was it?
Hold on. Here we go. That's Lisa from Mount Pleasant.
Lisa from Mount Pleasant. I would say that I would like to see the surface scratched on some of these kids and let them do what they want to do for a change rather than having to take directions to somebody else.
Yeah.
There, I said it. Nashville.
Good stuff. There are exceptions. We've got the Eric Churches and the Chris Stapletons of the world that are taking things into their own hands. That's exactly what
I'm talking about.
Yep.
These guys, Zach Brown, these guys stuck it out and said, I want to do my thing.
Yep.
I don't want to be a carbon copy of somebody else. Yep. I don't want to be. I'm not getting in that cookie cutter mold you got going there. I'm gonna be me. So you do have, and that proves my point.
Yep.
How many other artists are out there that never get a chance to do what they can do best,
or don't know what they can do?
Yeah. Like if they come to you and said, "I want you to look at Dick Clark. I want you to do everything Dick Clark did. I want you to fix your hair like him. I want you to speak like him. I want your mannerisms like him. Everything." You'd say, "No,
that's not what I want to do.
Not what I am. No. I'm Smokey Warren.
That's it.
I'm not Dick Clark.
No,
I admire Dick Clark. I love Dick Clark, and everybody did. But so what if somebody comes up to an artist and said, and this happens, we want to get this sound with you. We want to get the
Yeah.
Sound du jour, whatever it happens to be. You wouldn't like it. They don't like it. And they deserve a chance.
And people can see right through it.
They deserve a chance, absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is the wisdom you're going to get in this book. Let's all make the day count. Charlie Daniels, it's amazing. It's just you could pick a day of the week, open it up, and use the wisdom to guide you through it. And I have for decades just been a sponge of Charlie Daniels' wisdom through lyrics, through prose, through just conversation. And here it all is in between cover to cover. Thanks to the Thomas Nelson
and the little
people.
barbs that I throw at your occasion.
Well, and I'll take those. Oh, now we're throwing
We lost
books.
one.
Now we're throwing books.
We'll get it after a while.
It's all right. I got it.
What else you got over? You got another question?
Oh, yeah. We got a lot.
Let's answer some questions.
Selfishly, I want to have John's question asked.
Okay.
John from French Lick, Indiana. How did your time with Louis L'Amour affect your life?
I have played French Lick, Indiana, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes, I have. In fact, yeah, I have done a couple of them. First of all, let me explain what Louis L'Amour meant to my life before I ever met him. I was a huge, huge Louis L'Amour fan. I read everything of his I could get my hands on, which was a considerable amount. He had over 100 books. Mm-hmm. And I read everything I could get my hands on by Louis L'Amour. And I had he made the cowboy without the glitter, without the gloss, without the rhinestones and all that stuff, the real working cowboy that did carry a gun, as much to shoot rattlesnakes with as to shoot people with.
Sure.
And that sort of thing. He made him real. He made Western heroes real. He made them human, made them real, made them human beings. And I so much enjoyed it. And I dedicated an album to him. Mm-hmm. And he got a hold of me. He said, next time you're in Los Angeles, I want to meet you. And I thought, wow. So me and David, my manager, showed up at the Beverly Hills Hotel, the Polo Lounge. You know, that's kind of a little, and we walked in with our hats on. And said, we're looking for Louis L'Amour. He said, would you mind, gentlemen, please take your hats off. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how accustomed we were. We said he made us feel, it was like sitting here talking to you.
Wow.
I mean, that's how low the conversation, not low, but I mean, how relaxed the conversation became. It's just a time, in 5 minutes, it was just a totally relaxed. So what he meant in my life was there's a certain standard of a person that Louis L'Amour writes about that has, no matter how big a rascal he is, he may be outlaw or whatever, but he has a code of honor.
Yep.
I think everybody, every decent person in the world, regardless of what they do, whether they carry a 6-gun or an axe on their shoulders and cut trees down, I think everybody has a code of honor. And,
or should.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Louis L'Amour was one of the most knowledgeable man, and not just about the West. Any old West question you had, you could ask him, where was Billy the Kid born? Why did He just peeled it off. But he also was an expert on China. Mm-hmm. He was an expert on a lot of different things, many, many different things. His son, Bo, now is finding old manuscripts. And I just finished reading one of them. That he's actually going through them and editing them and putting them out. And there's one book that Bo put out, it's Unfinished Stories, and he published it as Unfinished Stories. And you're reading along and you're getting the part, all of a sudden it's like, what? But I mean, it's Louis, man. It's just it's Louis, and he's building you up there, and all of a sudden it's gone. It's not there, and it's a little frustrating, but it's really kind of neat because you get to make your own ending up.
Right.
I think he went back and killed that guy.
It's funny. You got me thinking. I remember a book that I picked up, and it was somebody had compiled it and took the words of wisdom of Louis L'Amour and put together much in the very similar form of this book. Let's all make the day count. And it's just neat when people you look up to and you respect are sharing their words of wisdom. It's nice to have it in one little spot, which is really cool. I never got to meet Louis L'Amour. I'm very jealous.
I wish you could have.
Yeah, because I think he died, 88?
He was 82 when he died.
But he died, I think it was 1988, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I still see his family. I still see his wife and his son. In fact, I'll see them when I get to Colorado. Their place is about 6 miles from ours.
Wow.
And they spend some of the wintertime out there.
Cool guy.
Grand lady, Cathy L'Amour. What a grand lady she is.
If you don't know the name Louis L'Amour, look it up, Google it. But be prepared. You're going to go into a rabbit hole you're never going to be able to get out.
If you ain't got 3 years to devote to reading Louis L'Amour, but you'll enjoy every page you turn.
It's so true.
We better stop this. Our publisher don't publish now.
We've sold albums.
I'm getting hard looks here.
We've sold albums of some other people's books. Oh, wait, there's Charlie Daniels' book. Let's all make the day count right there. Do you get a lot of backlash? This is a great question from Damaris in Easley, South Carolina. Do you get a lot of backlash for your opinions? And the second part of that is, do you care?
I'll answer the first part first. I do sometimes. I do. I mean, I expect people. I'm pretty opinionated, and I expect people to disagree with me. It's a great part about America. We can disagree with everybody. The only thing that I want to do, the only thing that really bothers me about it, we have got so mad at each other for having different philosophies and different political views such as that, we can't find middle ground to sit down and talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's like people, the word racist don't mean anything anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's used by people who don't even know what it means. They'll say, you're a racist. I know what a racist is. I was raised in the Jim Crow South. I know exactly what a racist is. Mm-hmm. I was around them all of my early life. I've seen it. I've seen the unfairness. I grew up out of that. I grew up there. I grew out of it. I know. I know about that. I know what a racist is. And for somebody to call somebody, that is a very strong, heavy word to me. And to hear it bannered around by people that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
You know. But we have reached that point. Now, what I'd like to do is I got friends. You know, I tell you who I consider to be a friend of mine I really got along with was Alan Combs. Mm-hmm. Me and Alan never thought the same way. I did a lot of interviews with Alan back after he left Hannity and get his own radio show. We would sit and talk, and we disagreed on almost everything, but we did it in a
civil
way. And he was always reasonable. He would listen to my side of things, and I would listen to his side of things. We always found some common ground, you know, and admitted it. And that's civil dialogue is what we need. This screaming at each other, and that is a form of prejudice. It's a form of prejudice, just like that's. I hear people throwing the word, around that literally don't know what it means, and the word fascist gets thrown around. And the funny thing about it is the people that use it the most are literally fascists because they're trying to shut everybody else up. That's what a fascist does. Right. A fascist says, you can't express my opinion's only when it counts. You can't express your opinion. And it's like they want to shut everybody else up. They're being a fascist, and that they call you a fascist because you don't agree with them. Sure. That kind of thing needs to go away. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems that we have is media. That's good press for them. They're
lighting the fires.
Yeah, keep people at each other's throats all the time. Got a 24-hour news cycle.
You got to fill it.
Yeah, and that just constantly got something going on, making people mad. And I am, myself, I'm open to talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. I've got people in that work with me that don't agree to everything I agree to. I never fired anybody for that reason. I got people been with me for a lot of years that don't agree to think the same way I do. That's fine. Yeah. But we can sit down and talk about it, instead of grabbing each other by the throat and trying to throw somebody off the bus.
The key is you're allowed to have your opinion, and other people are allowed to have theirs.
Have just as much right to their opinion as I have to mine. I have just as much right to my opinion as they do to theirs. And if we'll stop and look at each other, sitting just like me, you're sitting here talking now, we could come up with some things. We come up with some common ground.
Just try to use the words "you're wrong," not use the words "you're wrong."
Yeah, I don't use the words "you're wrong." It's use the words from my point of view.
Yeah, exactly. That's a much healthier dialogue.
Definitely.
Oh, that's great. Great question. Eric from Landau. Sir, how many studio hours did you spend recording all those great hits in the 70s? Quick sessions, long sessions?
We recorded and mixed Fire on the Mountain in 13 days. We cut all the studio stuff in Macon, Georgia. We went down and recorded that. We came back to Nashville and did Volunteer Jam. The very first one, as you know, was a live recording session for the album for Fire on the Mountain. Yeah. We did No Place to Go and Orange Blossom Special. We took it back to Macon, mixed the whole thing, and had it. And when I saw we were looking for album art, and this guy that had been doing some stuff for the Allman Brothers and some of the outfits in Macon came up with this cover, this Fire on the Mountain cover. I said, that is it right there. That fits exactly what we did, and we had
13 days.
I knew it was a winning package. 13 days, yeah. But finish answering your question.
Yeah.
Not everything goes that fast. Some things, I try to be prepared when I go into the studio because it's as far as the track is concerned. Now I'll write lyrics after I get in the studio. I mean, I'll do whole songs and not have, maybe not even have a title to it, but I know what I want to say. And I'll write lyrics after I get in the studio, but I don't, as far as the music's concerned, have it ready. Don't keep your guys sitting around wondering what you're going to play.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Right there. Been doing it for years. Be prepared.
Be prepared.
It's
Boy
the
Scout.
It's the music business. All right, here's the fun part. This is the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Thanks for all your questions. I know we didn't get to every single one of them.
Let's
but
do one more of their questions.
We'll do one more.
Just to be safe, to be fair.
Well, then I'm going to find a real good one.
Okay.
Here we go. Carrie, who's the one person who made the most impact on you and who you are today? The biggest impact on who you are today.
If I had to name one person that had the biggest impact on my career, it'd be a guy by the name of Bob Johnston, who I met in Fort Worth, Texas in 1959. The first time I ever went to California, we went through Texas, and I met him there, and we became friends, and we started writing songs together. He taught me more about writing songs. He had a work ethic like Simon Legree. I mean, you didn't look at the clock. You didn't care what time of day or night it was. You didn't worry about eating. You didn't worry about sleeping. You didn't worry about. There was a song to be written. Mm-hmm. There is a word that will rhyme with this word. There is a meter that will go with this tempo here. There is something. We got to find it. What you got,
Mm-hmm.
And you keep going until you got it. And that instilled a work ethic in me that I maintain till this very day. He's the guy that brought me to Nashville. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that put me on the first Bob Dylan session I ever played. There's many, many firsts with him. He was so instrumental in my career.
That's so great.
So Bob Johnston I would name, definitely.
You have an album that you pay tribute to Bob Johnson, too.
Definitely.
That's amazing. Everyone's got one. Mine's name is Charlie Daniels. It's true story, true story.
You can't imagine what that means to me. I'm serious. I've teased you a lot, but I really mean that.
Well, speaking of work ethic and speaking of going after your dreams and saying of no stopping, I mean, you've defined all that. So every time you get to a point, like if I get to a point in my career, like, whew, I'm tired today. I mean, it's like, do you think Charlie Daniels will start today? Yeah. So what's he doing? He's getting up on stage and he's playing a 2.5-hour show. And I'm going, all right, and I get up. It's true. You have continued to be an inspiration. 82 years old?
These are the rapid fires, huh?
Yeah, these are the you ready?
How rapid do they have to be?
It's your show. You do whatever you want.
Well, it's not going to be rapid.
Well, it's good.
I'm 82 years old. You want me to be rapid?
Number one, where were you born?
Wilmington, North Carolina.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Robert Redford.
Ooh, that would be a good one, actually.
Oh, I'm teasing. I don't even want a movie about me,
But
man.
yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Sure
really.
you do. You may not want it, but it would be fun to watch.
For you.
Yeah. What was your first job?
My first job was working in a tobacco field, cropping tobacco. The first public job I ever had was working in a tobacco warehouse carrying water.
Really?
Yeah, water boy.
What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear would be losing one of my loved ones, one of my friends. Would be
Which you have, and
which
it's
I
hard.
have. Oh gosh, I've had there was a long time that we never, all the years that I had bands, and I had never lost a member, and then all of a sudden, in about 2 years' time, I lost Tommy, who was not in the band at the time, but then Taz. 40 years, Taz was with me, and one night he was there, and the next he wasn't, and it was that was a big kick in the head.
Yeah, and when you try to get over, but it's that hole will always be there to some degree.
Yeah.
Who makes you laugh the most?
You make me laugh the most?
Absolutely.
I was thinking Jonathan Winters. Are you comparing yourself with
No, I'd rather not. Who makes you laugh the most? Jonathan Winters?
No, I guess. I don't know.
What is the one thing you need to have in your fridge at all times?
Gatorade.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
I hope I haven't done it yet.
God, that's such a Charlie Daniels answer.
You know what? I will tell you what I consider to be my greatest accomplishment is keeping 40 people gainfully and steadily employed for 40 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that.
Well, it's a blessing.
Who is the most interesting person you have met recently?
Recently, I was going to say Louis Moore, but you said you had to throw that. You had to throw that.
I didn't. It's written
caveat in
it's
there.
Written,
I don't know. Let's see who. James Stroud.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I interviewed him yesterday, by the way.
You interviewed James?
I interviewed him for about
You interviewed James?
I did, about 45 minutes.
What is your middle name?
Edward.
Edward. Mm-hmm. What is your biggest pet peeve?
I got to tell you a little story about that.
About Edward?
Yeah. We used to move around a lot when I was a kid. You know, I was my dad was in the timber business, and I went to ministry, different schools a year. And when you go to school, they'd always ask you, what's your name? You tell them, Charles Edward Daniels. Well, what do they call you at home? You always say Charles. So I decided one year I was going to the new school. I said, I'm going to change my name.
I did too.
Did you do that?
I changed my name.
Middle name?
I've changed my name is Lawrence. I didn't know how to spell it, so I changed it to Larry.
Well, at least that's a derivative. I went in, they asked me, what's your name? I said, Charles Edward Daniels. Well, what do they call you at home? They always ask me. I said, Edward. So I went by Edward for about 2 years there.
I didn't like the name Stormy, so in first grade I signed all my papers Larry Warren.
Larry Warren.
Yep.
Larry Stormy Warren. Where did Stormy come from, by the way?
It was supposed to be a girl named Wendy, and came out a boy, and it was before ultrasounds. And there was a song by the association, Wendy's got stormy eyes. Yeah. So if can't have Wendy, Wendy's got stormy eyes. Yeah. So that's where it came from.
So you're named after an eyeball, right? Is that right?
That's I am named after an eyeball.
I mean, you're the only person I have ever met in my life
named after an eyeball. You're the first person who's ever brought that up.
I'm glad I asked you that.
Yeah, I'm glad too.
I mean, the world needs to know that, Stormy.
I'm named after an eyeball. What is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve. You know what gets me?
Eyeball.
That was a good one. I very seldom have a reason to go into a big city driving, you know, during the rush hours. I mean, I ride through on the bus, you know, and I don't go. Once in a while, I have a doctor's appointment in Nashville or something that I have to be in at a certain time. And when I get up here, I go in Interstate 40, and I get up there and I hit that traffic, and I just sit there and burn. Because I'm just not acclimated for it, you know. Yeah. I sit there and these people are just moking along, and these people are doing this, and it's like so
do not get in his way.
No. I never have road rage. I wouldn't do that, but it's just, you know, it just gets on my nerves. I'm just not.
Especially
I am not
here in
acclimated to it. But I used to do it. I mean, I used to do it. When I first left North Carolina, I went to D.C. Washington
for a while.
area. And you couldn't move. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's like, you know, you could darn near get out of your car and walk and go and get a beer or something, come back out, and that's how fast the traffic moved.
Yeah.
So I used to do it, but I just don't have the nerves for it anymore. So
I get you.
Yeah.
I don't either. What is the last book you read?
The last book, you know, I always have 3 or 4 books at a time that I'm reading. How do you do that? How do you read 3 or 4 books? I don't know. It's just kind of what I do. It's funny. I used to have to carry 5 books. Carry a Bible, and I've got 4 books that I read for like this kind of thing here.
Yeah.
And I read a Jesus Lives, and I won't even go into the back. That's one of their books. That's one. Yeah, but. I used to have to carry all these books in my briefcase, but I got one of those, iPad. I carry everything on my iPad now. So I've got a great big library on there, and I'll start something, and I'll see something else come out by one of my favorite authors that I like, and I'll start reading it. So I'll be reading 2 or 3 things. I like the blood and guts stuff. I really loved Robert Ludlum and Ken Follett. I love Daniel Silva. You ever read Daniel Silva? He writes about the Secret Service, the spies in Israel, and that sort of thing.
Who said who wrote the Sphinx and all those books back in the day? Gosh, I can't remember.
But I love those kind of books.
Yeah.
And I may have 2 or 3 of them. And right now, I've got, what have I got? I got a book the other day. I can't remember. It was one of my authors had something out. I can't remember.
Yeah.
If I had my iPad, I could tell you.
So basically, you're constantly reading.
I'm constantly reading.
That's great. What is your favorite hobby besides reading?
I like, I used to ride horses constantly. We got roping a while back. I still got a roping arena over at the house. And I am not as limber as I used to be, jumping on a horse and everything now like I used to be. But I used to do a lot of horseback riding. It's my favorite thing. Sure. I enjoy outdoor things. I enjoy fishing. Yeah. I spend so much of my time inside because of my profession that when I get a chance to do something outside.
Get outside. You golf for a while too.
Yeah. I'm getting stiff to be playing golf right now, but I still enjoy it.
Damn. What is your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is chocolate, anything chocolate.
You chocoholic?
I love chocolate. I can eat anything made out of chocolate. If they made chocolate dog biscuits. I could eat them.
Chocolate
Hey,
pizza.
that's a good. I will come up with
Chocolate dog biscuits?
You invent them, and I'll hit you on them. Okay.
I'm done. Look
I'll
what
sit
we're doing
here.
right here.
Yeah. Okay.
Next
Chocolate
time you
dog
see us, we're going to be selling chocolate dog biscuits.
Stormy and Charlie's chocolate dog biscuits.
I love it. Do you have any hidden talents? We know you can play everything.
No, not really. I don't think I've got any hit. If I did, I'd bring them out and put them in public.
Can you juggle?
I will tell you something that I do, but most people don't know about. When I get up in the morning, instead of drinking coffee, I drink English breakfast tea. Irish breakfast tea, I'm sorry.
No coffee.
Well, I'll still drink coffee, but I drink coffee when I go to work at night. Somebody hands me a cup of coffee, and while I do my meet and greet, I sit at the table and drink a cup of coffee. But in the morning, when I get up, I make a pot of tea, or Hazel will make a pot of tea for me, and I drink Irish breakfast tea. And I'll tell you how I got into it. Mm-hmm. We were touring in Europe. We were leaving Heathrow Airport, coming back home. Still had some funny money left. Funny money being English money.
My dad called it too.
But it was not, it was not enough to go cash in and everything,
Sure.
just a few dollars. So we said, let's go to duty free shop and pick out. They had this beautiful little wooden box of Bewley's Irish breakfast tea. Mm-hmm. So I got it and brought it home and started messing with it and kind of got really into it. So they've got a distributorship here, so I'm probably their best customer, I imagine.
Charlie Daniels eating tea and crumpets.
Tea man. I ain't got no crumpets. I don't know how to make them. But
What color is your toothbrush?
my toothbrush is white. I use a Sonic toothbrush.
Oh, I do too.
It's white and about that long.
They work.
They work good.
What is your secret snack besides chocolate?
My secret what?
Snack.
Secret snack. I love popcorn.
Oh, does it get caught in your teeth?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, but you still eat it?
I still eat it.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then you pay for it a couple of days later.
It's worth it.
It is worth it.
Yeah.
How do you take your coffee?
I take it black. When I drink coffee at night, when I go in, like a cup of coffee, I always drink it black.
I have to have a little cream in there. What is the last movie you saw in the theater?
The last movie I saw in the theater. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I don't even remember. It's been a long time. I hadn't been in movies in a while.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of stuff on my iPad. I watch a lot of stuff on, it's
Netflix things.
yeah. Uh-huh.
What is a cause near and dear to your heart?
Well, there's a lot there. Anything to do with children and veterans. Mm-hmm. I remember the day, Stormy, that Pearl Harbor was bombed. I remember being at my granddad's house in North Carolina. And I remember, it's odd. When you're 5 years old, you don't remember a lot of things. You can't pinpoint a lot of things. I couldn't tell you what happened the day before, the day after, the week before, the week after, but I can tell you about that one day because I remember it. Mm-hmm. I remember he had no TV in those days. It was 1941. Had a big floor model radio. And it was on, and it was inside. It was this broadcast going on, this scratchy broadcast. And they were talking about Pearl Harbor. I didn't know where Pearl Harbor was. I didn't know where Hawaii was. I didn't know anything about it. But I could tell that something very serious was going on. And that was my introduction to the Second World War and what was happening. And I remember all the people going in to join up for service and the draft and all of that particular scene. In the town I was from, Wilmington, North Carolina, we had a shipyard that built Liberty ships. And it was a port city where boats would come through and load up with war goods and take them across the ocean. And they were sunk. There was quite a few of them that were sunk just off our coast. There was a famous, I can't remember his name, it was a famous submarine captain or an admiral or something that literally plied the coast of North Carolina because there were so many ports there. Yeah. And he would sink these cargo ships as if when they'd come out. And I've heard it said, I never saw it, but I heard it said they were sometimes so close you could see the fires in the ocean from, and so we took the war very seriously. And I found out. It was
closer than you thought.
I say this every night on stage. The only thing that protects America is the grace of God and the United States military.
It's amazing. And that you've celebrated the veterans and our servicemen and women for decades.
And we'll continue.
What is the number one thing on your bucket list, or does it have a hole in it?
Number one thing on my bucket list, I want to kill a 8-point buck. And I want to catch a 10-pound largemouth bass. Those
are good things to have on a bucket list. I like that. Last one, you've been everywhere. Where do you want to go that you've never been?
If I could take one trip to a foreign country again, I would go back to Israel. I've been there 3 times. And it's wonderland when you're a Christian. Mm-hmm. Because everything is historical. I mean, the tomb The everything's there. The wall, the old city is still intact. A lot of it's still intact, and the little tiny streets with the shops on each side and all. It's just a great place to go. And I've developed a love for the Jewish people.
Yeah.
That I heard somebody told me many years ago that if you ever go to Israel, change your life. It changed my life.
Sure.
It literally changed my life. I have a love for the state of Israel. I am so pro-Israel, man. It's like, and the Bible says, God told Abraham, who was a patriarch, the father of the Jewish nation, he who blesses you, I will bless. He who curses you, I will curse. And we have a president now that's blessing Israel. And a lot of people don't think about that, but he's moved out of all the presidents, and many presidents that have promised to move our embassy to Jerusalem, which is really the capital of Israel. Mm-hmm. He has done it. And, he's got his faults. I'm not being political here by any means, but I'm saying the more that this nation blesses Israel, the more we will be blessed. Mm-hmm. That's not me saying it. That's the Word of God saying it. So I am so pro-Israel.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you got a fourth trip in the works?
I don't, but I probably will. My church goes over. My pastor, Alan Jackson, goes about 3 or 4 times a year, different times of the year. And I got to do the coolest thing. I went over one time with them during the Feast of Tabernacles, and they do in one of the halls there. It's like they do a thing every night. So it's Jews, some association of Jews and Christians. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Jews and Christians. Okay. They do it every year. And this particular night, it was the night that the Israeli people came. And my pastor asked me if I would play a song. And I knew this before I went over, so I took my fiddle with me. I said, yeah, and I got somebody to drop some charts, probably Wormy, to drop some charts of I'll Fly Away. And they had a band there, so we gave it to them. And I went in the afternoon and rehearsed with them. And I said, look, before I play tonight, we'll count this off and we'll get into it and we'll play I'll Fly Away. But before I do that, I'm going to do something on my fiddle. Just me. I'm going to do it. And then I'll step up and do it, and I'll step back and we'll do I'll Fly Away. So we walked out that night near this man. I walked up and I took my fiddle and I started playing Hatikvah, mm-hmm. which is the national anthem of Israel. Now and there was the night all the Israeli people were, who would expect a hillbilly fiddle player from Nashville, Tennessee, to walk in and start playing Hatikvah? It was an emotional moment.
That had to have been a massive moment for everybody.
I mean, for me, it was very, very special. But it's something about you. Have you ever been?
No.
You should go.
Yeah.
You literally should go. It's the most special place on earth. The last chapter of history of mankind will be written in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
It will be.
It's amazing. Thank you for the 22 questions, rapid fire. Thank you for this book. Let's all make the day count. Thank you for writing more books. Thank you for putting the music out. Bull Weevils album is absolutely...
You can't even say it.
Well, because you changed the name on it. It's Bull Weevils now. Bull Weevils. Amazing record. And always a pleasure to catch up with you. Thanks again to everybody, the Premier Collectibles people.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. We'll do this again.
We will.
We love it. I love you, Charlie Daniels.
Thank you, everybody.